Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas, in a very cold state in Kansas. It's snowing and it's about -5 degrees outside, so it's one of those days where you just stay inside and never go outside. But anyways, yeah, in today's video, I'm continuing my ranking every single Beatles song. This time I'm going number 72 to number 69 on my list. So see what I think here on Jason the Old Millennial. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well here on a Wednesday evening or Thursday evening. I don't even know what day it is. It's a Thursday evening and getting close to Christmas. It's a couple days away, it seems like, and it's next Sunday. So hope everybody's doing well, keeping safe. I don't know if anybody's got the cold, what do you call it? Cold weather it's coming through like we are here in Kansas. I'm sure it's all over. But yeah, definitely getting very, very cold here. Anyways, but yeah. So yeah, doing my ranking every single Beatles song. Now getting into the top 70, I guess. We're getting into that area. Yeah, and here I got a lot of actually fairly older songs on here, I'd say. Some of their older mop, the Fab Four, Mop Top, whatever you call them, time period, the Beatlemania like time period, except for one. Well, they're all around 64, 65, I guess. So first at number 72, I have a song called Any Time at All, which comes off the Hard Day's Night album. In the UK, it wasn't on the US album because I guess it wasn't on the film. So the US album, the second side is all just instrumental. So you didn't get that song until an album called Something New that came out in the US. Around that same time anyways. Of course, this is a Lennon McCartney song, as all Hard Day Night songs are all Lennon McCartney. And like, not only are they all Lennon McCartney, but it's interesting, when I was doing research, there's a lot of talks of John wrote, I don't know how many songs are, if there's 14 songs on there or whatever, he wrote like 8 of them or something, 9, I don't know, he wrote almost all the songs. So it's definitely, Hard Day's Night is like John's album. It's like, this is John, not as best necessarily, but definitely him being the very dominant figure in the Beatles. Anyways, but this is another one that was mostly written by John as well. Again, it was written for, they wrote the songs that were going to be in the film, and then they had to, of course, finish out the second side of the album. So they writing songs, and this is one of the songs that kind of got put on the second side that wasn't in the movie. Interesting reading about it. When John, I think he was writing a lot of songs here, of course. He was in hyper mode, trying to get as many songs as he can onto the album to finish this album, of course, because you need to get the album out by the time the movie comes out. So I'm sure they're in a real time crunch, which I guess they kind of were all the time during this period. All they were doing was like album tour, constant. But he says that when he's writing this song, it actually was a similar style to It Won't Be Long. Basically, it's kind of similar chord progression. So he kind of just went over It Won't Be Long, a song that they already did before, and I guess kind of redid it and kind of put in this song, the lyrics for Any Time at All in there. And even saying that, which I didn't even realize that was like a similar song to It Won't Be Long. I guess I don't catch up on those things. And I even read like there's a couple other songs that are similar, that they kind of took the same kind of chords or sound and kind of just put in a whole new song into it. But yeah, I always think they always sound original to me. But yeah, so it's interesting. But Anytime All, really solid song off the Hard Day's Night. I don't know if this is not one of the most well-known songs off the album. There's much bigger songs, of course, even though I have this up higher than a lot of the big ones. But just a solid Beatles, pop rock song, this time period. John, of course, giving the really great vocals here. But yeah, just a really catchy song. I love John's kind of low, seems kind of low during the verses. And then they go, bam, 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 anytime at all, bum, bum, bum. Like once he kind of really kind of gets louder during the chorus and all that, really great. And just, yeah, overall, just during this time period, it seems like all the songs are just really solid, catchy pop songs, and this was one of those that I really enjoy off the Hard Day's Night album. So that's Anytime at All at number 72. Number 71 is one of their first, or not one of the first, but I mean, it's a third hit single off that they ever did that never came off an album, and it's called For Me to You. It was a number one single in both the UK and the US. It was their third number one single overall, is that what I was trying to say. After, well, in the UK, it was, Please Please Me. Then maybe She Loves You. I don't know. But then For Me to You was the third number one single, because I know I Want to Hold Your Hand is also in theirs. Some of their first number one singles. In the US, of course, I Want to Hold Your Hand was like the first number one single. And this was number one in the US too. So this was an early song that really caught on in the US as well. Of course, the Lennon McCartney song. This is a very early song, obviously. Didn't make any of the albums because they were trying to make their, like, She Loves You and I Want to Hold Your Hand similar, that they, I guess, didn't want to double dip, and like, you're gonna buy the single, and then why put it on the album when you got the single already, let's put other songs on the albums, and let's sell the singles and the albums differently. I guess maybe make more money that way. But yeah, really great song, solid, obviously number one for a reason. It was written in while they were touring with Helen Shapiro in 1963. I believe Helen Shapiro, she was this British, I don't know much about her, except when we talk about the Beatles, sometimes I hear that name when they were touring early on. She was a British, of course, female singer. I think she was pretty young when she was touring with the Beatles, like 16 or something, maybe, I might be wrong. And I think she was maybe managed by Brian Epstein as well. I think that's why she did a lot of touring with the Beatles, and she was around the Beatles a lot. But yeah, so they were touring with Helen Shapiro, and I think it was like in the back of the bus, John was working on this song. And in fact, I was reading about it. It's kind of interesting. They kind of presented the song to Helen Shapiro. They had two songs they were writing. They were going to put out as a single. One was For Me to You. The other one was Thank You Girl. And so they played both songs for Helen Shapiro and said, which one do you like more? Because there's one we were kind of thinking about being the A side and the B side, but I don't know, want your opinion. And Shapiro said, For Me to You was the better song. And they said, yeah, we thought so too. So then For Me to You became the A side. Thank You Girl became the B side, which I really like. Thank You Girl. It's another, single you don't think about a lot because it wasn't on an album, but very solid rock song that I actually enjoy quite a bit. But For Me to You, yeah, is definitely one of their great, early catchy songs, of course. And it's written again from this, of course, as Paul says, every song had to be a song about, they wanted the audience to think they're singing to them. So they put a lot of, yous. She loves you. I want to hold your hand. For me to you. So they want to think that the girls, go crazy because they think, oh, the Beatles are singing to us. Anyway, so it definitely sounds like a song writing a letter or something, or making a phone call, and from me to you. But man, the vocals are so good here. I want to say Paul maybe sings most of this, but I love the da 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 da. Like, that's so good. Actually, it's more like, I want to say, like, more like both John and Paul kind of sing together, and so there's a really good dynamic between the two. The voices really mesh in together, of course, very well, as it always does. But it's a really kind of pretty fast-paced song, I feel like, but very catchy. But I think Paul has some really good vocals here, if I remember right. And I believe there's a harmonica in there that I really love when they put harmonica. Early on, John's putting harmonica like in so many songs, and then he kind of quit doing harmonica. But I do love the harmonica sound in some of these earlier songs. But yeah, this is definitely one of their best, I think, in my opinion, solid, catchy tunes early on in their career. Still one I really love to listen to, and brings me back to those, not those days because I wasn't live back then, but back to my days as a kid when I first started listening to the Beatles. This is probably the first type of music I used to listen to. Anyway, so from For Me to You is number 71 on the list. Number 70 is another early song, It Won't Be Long, which comes off the With the Beatles album, their second album. Another, of course, Lennon McCartney tune. What's interesting is this album, I believe this album came out same day that JFK got assassinated, which is just a crazy, fact or stat. Of course, This is in England when it came out, of course, and JFK assassination came in the U.S. So I don't know how that affected the UK as much. Obviously, it affected the U.S. a huge deal. Having a president get assassinated is, really, really a big deal, and especially JFK, who was, pretty well loved at that time. But yeah, so that's just an interesting kind of side fact is that this all came out at that time. This is the opening track to With the Beatles. It's one of my favorite. I think I covered the other song. This is, I want to say, maybe my favorite song off of that album. In fact, I know I covered the other song. Now I'm forgetting what that was. I don't think I have it here, but because it begins with "It Won't Be Long." "All My Lovin'," I believe, is the other one. Yeah. It begins with "It Won't Be Long," I think, and then "All My Lovin' maybe comes after that, and that's like my two favorite songs on the album. So they open it really strong on that album. And this is another one where I love the back and forth. "It won't be long." Yeah, 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 yeah. I love that effect in the song. And then it kind of slows down towards one part where, "When you left me," and then they got these ooh, like, man, I love anytime there's some backing vocals and there's some oohs, ahs, whatever. Anyway, so I love that fact that it really is, one of those songs, like I said early on, where all the Beatles seem to be really working together. Of course, as time goes on, they kind of start separating a little bit. It starts becoming more individual, but you do love this early period when it does sound like there's a very cohesive band. And this is definitely one of those songs. And I love the guitar, the dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, like really fast strumming by John on here. But yeah, absolutely great, catchy tune that is so fun to listen to. So I have it here at number 70, "It Won't Be Long." Last song I'll talk about, number 69 on my list, is a little bit later song, mid period, and it is called "Girl." Pretty simple title. Comes off the Rubber Soul album in '65. It's another Lennon McCartney song, though it's more of a John song. Of course, he lead sings it and everything. It was interesting reading about it. I don't know how to go into it, except that it was like right after the period where he, said that Beatles were more popular than God or whatever, or more popular than Jesus. And there's in the U.S. there was a big, protest, I guess, and people were mad at that statement. And so I don't know, somehow this connected. I couldn't quite figure it out when I was researching it, but it seemed almost kind of connected to that period where it was kind of a dark period for John, going through that. And it's kind of a dark song in some ways, and it seems like, but that's what I like about it. It's a little different sounding than a lot of their earlier stuff that I've been talking about. And some interesting guitar parts during the song that play. And I like the whole, just, I don't know, tone of the song is just very interesting. And John's, it's a little more slower song, I guess you'd say, but it's a very interesting chorus. I love the girl. And then they do this like weird, like breathing in sound or something. I'm not sure what they're doing there, but girl, and like the way he says "girl" and then and the way he does the notes, it's so good. And all the Beatles come in. Yeah, and there's something about that guitar. It's like bam, 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 bam. Just very interesting guitar that goes in through that song that make it very interesting. And lyrically, it's definitely a very interesting song, talking about a girl, I think it broke his heart or something like that, and talks about, guys, earning their daily measure. And yeah, very interesting lyrically overall, as John always is. And yeah, just really kind of different song for them at the time when you get into Rubber Soul, which is a little bit of a change in their mop top days, as I call them, the Beatlemania days. And yeah, just a really solid song off Rubber Soul, which is one of my favorite albums, of course. And that's why I got here so high at number 69, and that is "Girl." So yeah, so feel free to comment. What do you think about these songs, or where do you rank them on yours? Are they higher or lower? I would love to know. And yeah, just thank you for watching the video. Thank you for liking it. Thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. Appreciate all of you. I hope you have a nice day.